I'll get you, Tom Cruise.
That's the thing that killed me. That's what broke me. That
All
was
right, the parachute.
it was the.
Welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture. And get this, its continued influence today. That's right.
Oh.
Hey, everybody, my name's Will. And joining me, as always, are my friends, and they're also my co-hosts. It's Kat and John. Hey, guys.
Hello, guys.
Hello, once again.
Come on, audience. You can
We're getting
do better
applause. We're getting applause. Wow.
Wow, that's rousing.
That's more than ever before.
Let's not fool around here, right? We got a lot of news to cover related to 1980s media. We're not going to stop for commercials, so someone's going to be pounding on the door. You got a break. Hey, when you do decide to take a break, though, because ultimately you will, check out John, our very own John down there on the video. If you're watching it on video, on his own podcast and YouTube network, Gen X Grown Up.
Thank you.
On today's show, we'll review current news, stories related to 1980s media, including Salem's Lot has a trailer. Now remember, we didn't know we were going to see Salem's Lot at all, but now we've got a trailer and it's coming out. There's a throwback horror film that I just learned about that came out earlier this year. It's now streaming, and it's a throwback to the 80s horror films very specifically, but it's got a twist, and I want to share that with you. And you know what? Part of it is because, look, fall, it's starting to get a little fallish, and it's fallish enough where I start thinking about Halloween. And
Right.
I don't know if it's just me, but and look, we probably have All Hallows Eve going back to whatever that pagan tradition was, because as the seasons changed and the days were shorter, things seemed a little spookier.
Yes.
And for us, for now, right? It still happens, and we look for ways to maybe celebrate that or enjoy it. I do.
Or avoid it.
You avoid Halloween, Kat? No.
No, I enjoy Halloween itself, but this particular aspect of Halloween, the horror movie thing.
Right.
Ooh,
That part.
not
Okay.
my thing. Yeah.
I go looking for 'em. I know.
Mm-hmm.
All year long, I'll be like, if something really interesting came out, I'll check it out. But Halloween, I'm like, all right, what have I missed?
That's when you go to Google, best horror movies of 2000 and whatever this year is.
Yeah, right.
That's-
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I go digging them up. Like, what did I miss?
And so I watched this movie, and I want to tell you guys about it. All right, so Heather Locklear's, we're going to talk about Heather Locklear's 1982 date with Tom Cruise. We just found out about that some 40-odd years later. The original, speaking of Tom Cruise, we're going to talk about the original ending to Risky Business. Also, speaking of Tom Cruise, the stunt that nearly killed him.
Oh.
No,
Oh.
just kidding. No. Look, I don't agree with his everything else about him, but I love his movies.
Yes.
I'm a weird guy, right?
Yep.
And finally, and this is the most exciting news, guys. I don't know if you're as into this as I am, but I've got my tickets, and I'm very excited to see Jane's Addiction on tour. They have reunited.
Hey, Will.
Yeah.
The tour, it just got canceled.
Oh. Okay. Well.
Are you just now hearing about this? That's bad news for you.
All right. Well, look, we're going to pivot then. We'll pivot, and we'll talk about that. All right.
Okay.
That was short. That was a short-lived reunion tour. So we'll talk about that. And I've got three other bands from the 1980s that also had short-lived reunions. We can talk about those too, just as a coincidence. And there's time codes in the notes if you want to skip around or skip right to Gen X Grown Up. I don't care. Whatever. Do whatever you want. All right. Hey, let's get caught up on 1980s news. All right, hey, this week in 1980s news. Look, and I'm really excited about this. We just mentioned when the season changes, I'm looking for horror stuff and other types of spooky things. And so I'm very excited to let you guys know that Salem's Lot will finally premiere. Now, I had to look it up because I know we spoke about this before. It turns out in February of this year, we discussed how the latest adaptation of Stephen King's 1975 horror novel, which was in the can as of 2021, in February, we speculated that it may never see the light of day. There was no indication that it was ever going to come out because there was a theatrical release that was planned for September of 2022.
Okay.
And then Warner Brothers pushed it to the spring of 2023, and they were talking about just going streaming. And then they took it off of their official schedule altogether without any clarification. And at this time, we chatted about how Stephen King himself took to social media to call out the studio for having no apparent plans to release the movie. And he said, quote, "Between you and me, Twitter, I've seen the new Salem's Lot and it's quite good. Not sure why WB is holding back. Not like it's embarrassing or anything. Who knows? I just write the fucking things."
I remember us talking about that. And before you told us all that, I was about to ask, is this a Warner Brothers production?
Oh, yeah. That added to our nervousness about
standard
it.
operation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or uncertainty about it. Well, the long-awaited film will finally be available on Max, so it is going straight to streaming, but we'll be able to see it in time, or those who have a subscription, of course, in time for Halloween. And Warner Brothers has released a trailer for it, and I'm going to share it with you right now for you and for folks watching.
And before the show, Kat said, "Do we have to watch this trailer?
Yeah.
Are you going to make us watch
What was
it?"
that all about? Yeah.
So, when I tried to watch it earlier, and I was in a setting where I couldn't see it very well because it was so dark, and I just couldn't make it out. And then I was like, darn it, I'm going to have to try to watch it in better lighting.
Okay. So then,
Because I could hear that it was, unpleasant things were happening.
Okay. Well, here you go. Lucky you then. So you do want, then you should want to see it and do want to see it. All right. Well, here it is.
I've always written stories about things that are so terrible. You'll run away until your brain won't remember.
So why did you come back?
I'm here for research.
What exactly, though, are you researching?
I can see her lying back in her satin dress.
Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary in the lot recently?
Don't confess. Sundown, you're back.
There are some folks who had some kind of unusual experiences.
Cat looks so worried.
They used to tell us stories about this place. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into here.
Danny, where are you? Answer me. This is not a disease you can catch.
Let me in.
If we don't fight back, they'll come for us eventually.
Things have gone bad in the lot now.
It's not safe!
Oh, you never look away.
Take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, Kat. So you survived it. Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, I survived
not
the
interesting.
trailer. No.
I'm very excited about
Yeah,
it.
it looks well put together, and yet I feel like this trailer requires you to know what Salem's Lot is before you come in. Because if you don't know anything about the book or the previous film, it doesn't really tell you what's going on. There's
Will you
creepy
please
stuff
tell
happening.
me?
Yeah, but isn't that okay? I mean, I think
Not
the
upset
tone
with that
and-
necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah. It shows you it's creepy, scary stuff. Are people really dead? So you start wondering, oh, well, is it zombies? Is it vampires? What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to know that coming in, or this is going to make you go, what's it about exactly? Just spooky.
Can you tell me? I did not read it. I don't know about it.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, gotta see
Gotta
it,
watch
Kat.
it, Kat.
You gotta see it.
Ah.
All right, I'll tell you what it's about. Okay, so it's set in the 1970s. And by the way, I guess before we talk about the plot, I guess, or this, I don't know that I agree with the music choice on this, So this is Gordon Light's Sundown from 1974. 74, I think, 72, something like that. And the show was set, I think, in around 1975, which is when the book came out. You can tell it's set in the 1970s. But I don't know that I agree with the song. They chose it because the lyrics are sundown. You better take care. I mean, okay, what? I mean, it reminds me how. But look, the other visuals of the trailer are so powerful and strong, I think, and the filmmaking looks so good that it's not as consequential to me, and the song is not throughout it. But there's this trend of taking up a popular song and changing it a little bit to make it seem spooky or interesting, and it's not. You can't just slap any song on there. Now, this one's not too bad. But I was just thinking, like, if you guys saw the Minecraft trailer for Minecraft.
Oh, I did see. Yeah. Wait, what did they use? I can't.
There's
remember.
A lot of issues with it. That trailer.
The music didn't register as in the top 10 problems. I
think the music is a big one. They use the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour. First of all, any child interested in Minecraft doesn't know what the hell that song is. They have no emotional connection to it. And they probably chose it because this idea you're going on some kind of adventure. There's got to be a million songs better than that, and certainly ones that the demographic. And again, you watch that Minecraft trailer. I'm not sure who that movie's for. I don't think they know. They started out probably one way, and then by the end they're like, "What did we make? I don't know, but we can't go back. Just put it out."
It's like an Emoji Movie look. I'm like, was there a committee that oversaw this at any point and went, "Well, these aren't lining up. These like who's?" You're right. Yeah. As I watched it, I'm like, well, I don't think kids are going to like it because it's too modern-y looking. Yeah. I don't think adults are going to like it because it's too kiddie looking. Yeah, I don't know.
I do think it's trying to appeal to the adults that will be taking the children or watching it with the children.
The ones who have to pay for the ticket. Maybe there'll be Beatles in it.
Karen likes the song. She says it's always sounded kind of creepy. Good use of it here. Again, I get it. It's definitely more effective than the Minecraft thing. I was just lamenting.
Yeah, I agree with Karen. I think it is appropriate for this trailer, and I like how they did it. And in fact, when it got muted, like it was muffled under a pillow for a moment. I thought that was really cool. That could have done it with any song, but I like that.
Yeah, that when it changed, that actually creeped me out. Yeah,
that's good. I like when they do that. Yeah. Brandon says looks a lot more entertaining than the original Salem's Lot. The original didn't do much for me. Yeah.
Oh,
I agree. Yeah. And Glenn says, I know nothing of the past stuff, have no idea what was going on there besides spooky. Okay, so here's what's going on. So it's set in 1970s, as I mentioned, and it's the latest trip to the lot that follows author Ben Mears, who's haunted by an incident from his childhood. He returns to his hometown of Jerusalem's Lot in search of inspiration for his next book, only to discover the town is being preyed upon by a bloodthirsty vampire and his loyal servant. The cast includes a number of actors, most of whom I don't know. But I did recognize these names. Lewis Pullman, who's Bill Pullman's son, who we saw in the trailer there. He seems to be playing the author. Alfre Woodard and William Sadler. I don't think we saw Sadler. I didn't see him in there. Maybe he's the vampire, right? He'd be a good vampire.
Oh, maybe so. Oh. Yeah, because he's unmistakable. You'd have picked him out of the trailer.
You put some makeup on it? Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Oh, I hope he is. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was written and directed by Gary Dauberman, who also wrote and directed Annabelle Comes Home, which was his feature debut.
And I want to point out, it says from the Conjuring universe. He's not responsible for the good films in the Conjuring universe, but the Annabelle film in the Conjuring universe. Because the trailer calls out, from the maker of films in the Conjuring universe. Well, yeah. And realistically, Annabelle Comes Home may be the best of the Annabelle films, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, I could never get through an Annabelle film. I tried watching the first one. I was like, whatever. I feel like I've seen this already. And I just stopped watching it.
Yeah. That was very different and good. If you want to watch one, that's the one to watch. But if you have time to watch it, watch one of the Conjuring films. Much better.
Oh, yeah. I've seen all of those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm excited to check it out. And the good news is it will premiere on Max, as I mentioned, on October 3rd. So real soon.
Yes.
Next up in 1980s news, and speaking of horror movies, again, I'm so excited about this season of horror films. As reported by Screen Rant, In a Violent Nature, which is the name of the movie, has a direct connection to Friday the 13th.
Good movie.
So In a Violent Nature is a slasher film written and directed by Chris Nash and starring, again, look, I don't know who these people are, but I do know at least these are two of the names they gave us. Rye Barrett and Andrea Pavlovic. And there's a cast of other actors. It's described as an ambient slasher. And it borrows heavily from the tropes created by the Friday the 13th franchise, including the very first one that came out in 1980. Much like Jason Voorhees, the killer in Violent Nature has a tragic origin story, stalks teenagers in the woods, hides his disfigured face under a mask, and is a real mama's boy. And I'm going to try not to give any spoilers.
It sounds like, Will, you have seen this film.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Kat, you have not seen this film, right? It's amazing, Kat. This is worth watching just because of the swerve.
Mm-hmm.
The entire 95% at least of the film is from the perspective of the killer.
Oh.
You follow him traipsing through the woods.
Yeah. I mean, haven't you ever wondered what does Jason do when he's not busy killing?
No.
Does he eat?
He's knitting.
Does he sleep?
I've never wondered that.
Does he have to use the toilet?
Oh no, don't tell me that's in here too.
All these questions are answered.
And you're not going to tell me I have to watch
And
this
if I
movie.
do one thing to sell you on this film, Kat or listener, anybody, Will already knows. In every horror movie, every slasher movie, when they kill the bad guy and he's laying out in the field dead, what's the first thing they do? They walk away and ignore him. And when they come back, he's gone, right? So we have that scene in this movie. They kill the bad guy and they walk off, but the camera stays on his body.
Yeah.
And you see him get up and walk off. And then the kids come back and go, what the fuck? Where'd he go? You know, it's like, we were there. We saw it because the camera stays with the slasher. It's so cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, John. That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's going to sell me on it.
If anything would, it's that. If not that, then maybe nothing.
Well, Marcus says here, the movie sucked. So you get to listen to overdubbed footsteps on dry leaves for 90 minutes. For 90 minutes. Now,
Well,
so the killer walks around a lot.
Hey, now, Marcus didn't care for Beetlejuice, so take for that what
That's
you
right.
will.
Get out of here, Marcus. Beat it.
What?
Yeah. I don't know what his taste in film is worth.
And it's true, but you know what? Much like some other films, and this guy took a shot. Now, I think there may have been some way of.
He took a what?
He took a shot. He took a swing.
Oh, a shot.
I wasn't talking about the killer. The killer took something else. He also took a shot. He took a lot of shots. So there may be some things I would have done a little differently because this guy made a decision as Chris Nash, the director, writer. He made a decision and he really hung in there. So yeah, John, what Marcus is alluding to is, you do see him walking around, stalking a lot. Because that's what he would be doing.
That's what he does. Yeah.
He commits to the bit.
He's traipsing along and nothing's happening. And then suddenly you hear voices in the distance. That's what he's moving toward, is the kids around the campfire, where every other film we'd be with the kids. But we get to walk with him as he finds the kids. Yeah. I think it's creative.
Okay. Considering I've never watched one of those movies except for like Halloween. Okay. I'm just not into watching those movies. Do I need to have seen one from the other,
You've seen one. You saw Halloween, you've seen one.
Right.
So that's it. Okay.
Yeah, it's the faceless
Ticket punched.
Faceless killer that's unstoppable.
Okay.
Which again is a trope, but began certainly with the Friday the 13th. It has some connections to Friday the 13th because some of the origin, etc., are not unlike Jason Voorhees, and I don't want to spoil anything, but
okay,
sure,
yeah. But anyway, it's a cool idea. They commit to the bit, and so I think it's pretty cool. Brandon says In a Violent Nature was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but it was a fresh approach. Yeah, and that's what I look for when I look for horror movies. Is, all right, who's doing something different these days? Because it's hard. It's hard to just not make it, let's make it more gory. It's like, anybody can do that.
This reminds me of that movie that's going to come out. Did it come out yet? Where they film everything from the same corner of a room?
No, that's not a horror film, but coming out later.
No, not
That'd be
a
a cool
horror
film.
But actually, but having a fresh approach in the perspective and filming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to say this film isn't gory. It's pretty fucked up. The kills are really messed up.
Oh, yeah. The yoga kill is one of the most creative I've seen.
What?
Yeah, I mean...
No.
And it's funny, right? Because, you can't spoil it, but saying...
No. All I can say is the yoga kill. That's all. I'm not going to say else about it.
We can say the
More
killer...
reasons to watch
We
it.
can say the killer was inspired by that. He found her doing yoga.
And helped her achieve a certain
some pose,
position.
Oh, no.
Yes.
I do yoga. I don't know if I want to see this.
Well, careful where you do it.
So while even the most casual horror fan can pick up on the elements that that Violent Nature borrows from Friday the 13th, you'd have to be a super fan to spot the indie movie's direct connection to the earlier franchise. Because in the third act of the film, we're introduced to an unnamed character who's played by Lauren Mary Taylor. Taylor played Vicky in Friday the 13th Part 2.
Oh.
And while she wasn't the sequel's final girl because she was dispatched with Jason, She did go on to appear in other horror films as well, including 1982's slasher movie Girls' Night Out, and in 2 documentaries about the Friday the 13th franchise. In fact, her role in A Violent Nature is her first in 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Okay.
Hey, check it out if you're interested in this kind of thing. It's a different take. Yeah, you watch it for the gimmick of it, and the gimmick is done well because they commit to it.
I'm more likely to watch this, I think, than Salem's Lot.
Okay.
Because of the gimmick.
Yeah.
Not having seen Salem's Lot, I think it's worth seeing just for the doing something different and for a reference. And plus, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I think, they said in the comments, they didn't totally pull it off. There are some things like, oh, really? Is that how you're going to handle that?
Yeah.
But still, I think there's a bravery in trying something that not everyone has done before and committing to it for, 90% of the film probably.
Yeah. And Kat, this film, because you're not not following the teenager's perspective, you're not going to be scared wondering, well, what's lurking out there? What's going to happen?
You're lurking.
You're on the side. You're with the guy.
You're the one.
I'm with the lurker.
You see him pick up an axe. You see him approach someone from behind. You know what he's going to do.
So there's no jump scares? No surprise. No jump scares?
No, I don't. Probably.
There might be one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's the threat of one that you're never sure if and when it's going to happen.
Oh, yes. And that is
Oh.
And that's kind of the whole point of the movie, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hey, check it out on Shudder, or you can purchase it or rent it on Apple, Amazon, all those other places too.
I will Shudder.
All right, hey, another 1980s news. We're getting into the horror thing. You know what? Look, as it gets closer to Halloween, Kat, we're going to chat about more, spooky things.
Sorry.
I know, it's fine. I'll be fine. Well, actually, I have a few Halloween, not Halloween. I do have a few horror movies on my watch list that I'd like to watch during October.
Oh, what do you got? Can you tell us? Can you tease us with something?
Oh, yeah.
That we can watch along with you, or,
Are they cartoons?
Actually, one of them is, because I want to see the Ichabod Crane, that you...
Oh, this
come
would be
on.
Yeah.
That kid's, it's a horror movie.
No,
it is.
Cartoon.
Believe you me, it is. So ask little Johnny.
When you're
He'll
10
tell
or
you.
8, yeah, whatever.
See, that's that historical significance in 1980s today. It was from 80s.
All right, give us a real one, Kat.
I can't find them on my list.
All right. Hey, another 1980s news, much lighter stuff, but still speaking about something scary, because we're going to talk about Tom Cruise in the next 3 stories. So if Tom Cruise scares you, tune out for a few minutes and then check back.
He's not scary.
He's unnerving.
Hey, as reported by People, Heather Locklear recalls Tom Cruise doing his risky business, John scared, dance moves on their date. So marking her first public event in nearly 3 years, Locklear made a rare appearance at 90s Con, Florida on Saturday, September 14th. Now, let's just pause and say, where's 80s Con? All right, look, we have RetroCon, right? We have RetroCon, which was great. We had a great time there. Hopefully we get to go back every year.
Yep.
But they skipped past 80s Cons. I mean, they never had that as far as I know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Bunch of assholes.
Come on.
Anyway.
Well, they're not making new Gen Xers. I mean, we're diminishing commodities, so they need to pander to the 90s kids now with their puffy new kids on the block pants and whatever the kids in the 90s were back then.
Their hammer pants. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, the Dynasty and TJ Hooker alum opened up about meeting Cruise at an audition early on in their careers. She said, quote, "We both did an audition for a film together, the two of us, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible." Before she joked, saying, "He's even worse." So at that time, he was just like this little baby boy that I feel like I was a little bit older, and he ended up coming over to my house with Sean Penn. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
And they were just nice, but he was very yes, ma'am to me, and I was like, okay, sir. A self-proclaimed rock and roll girl at the time, she said her style didn't match Cruise's. They did, however, go out on a date together. The pair went to dancing at Club Lingerie. Locklear described Cruise's dance moves, revealing she was one of the first to see what ended up being his famous scene in Risky Business, during which he slides down on his knees. And whenever I hear that, I have to take off my pants and slide across the floor. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Uh-oh, there he goes.
Here he comes. All right. He's off camera. He just slid past.
My mark.
Oh, thankfully he was sitting down on the slide. He wasn't standing.
Do it again, yeah.
It would be
So Tom Cruise is dancing in the club. Recalling Tom Cruise dancing before her and dropping down to his knees, Locklear says, quote, "He actually did that, and I was dancing along like do I stop dancing if they're down there? Yeah, that is kind of like, what do you do?
Awkward.
Someone drops to their knees.
I just keep on dancing. I see her on the floor there. All right.
I'm going to get a drink. Do you want anything?
I'll be down here on my knees.
I'd go find somebody who's on their feet.
I don't know. That sounds ableist, Cat.
Yeah.
He was fine when he was on his feet. Ugh.
First horror movies and now this cat.
Yes. Regarding the scene in Risky Business, Cruise told People in 2023 that he had to figure out how to slide across the floor in his socks. He said, quote, "So I saw the opening frame and I go, I want to hit center frame, and it didn't work. And then I said, well, let's just put slick stuff on the floor. And then I slid all the way across." Eventually, a sticky spray in the center of the frame did the trick.
Was this his first stunt? Was this the first instance?
His first stunt.
Yeah. It could be, yeah.
Like he had a stand in or slide in who would perform this for him.
Could get hurt,
He does
right?
all his own stunts, right? He does all. So I wonder.
He started somewhere. You're right, Kate.
There's a little bit of peril involved in sliding across the floor. Yeah.
On the scale of dangerous stunts, I think sliding in on your socks is way, way, way down the list.
Not according to all our moms.
Although if someone hated him, they'd be like, all right, we got to grease up his socks too. Kill this motherfucker. Hate this little asshole. He's too handsome.
What's this on the budget? 1 gallon of industrial sock lube?
Where is this going?
Well, we're trying to make the stunt dangerous for you, Kat.
John,
You're the one that said it was a stunt.
In 1982, if they needed sock lube, they could have just asked me. We made it fresh daily. All right, look. All right, back to the show. Here we go. All right.
How do I know what he's talking about and you
Speaking
don't?
of...
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Just... Welcome to the show, first-time listener.
Yeah, there you go. More things just like this every week. All right. Hey, speaking of Tom Cruise and Risky Business, you can learn more about the heartthrob turned stuntman in the nacelle company's Icons Unearthed Tom Cruise, which premiered earlier this month. It's available on Vice TV, and it's the cast, crew, and experts revealed never before heard stories about Cruise. The series begins with Risky Business and then tracks how he's evolved to become the person, the performer that he is today, and includes how the film's ending was changed, something Cruise himself found pivotal to the film's success. Now, I never knew this story till this.
I still don't.
Yeah. So in the originals, are you familiar with the film? Did you guys see Risky Business? Do you remember that?
Long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like once.
Yeah. It's probably the same. Yeah. Maybe once or twice. Yeah.
So I guess long story short, you'll remember, I mean, the ending is harrowing, right? His parents are away, he wants to go to Princeton. His parents are away. He's a very uptight, straight-laced, buttoned-up type kid. And he gets involved with a prostitute who has a pimp who they steal everything from his house. Including the Fabergé egg or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. That was the big thing.
That his mother, has on the mantle that's so precious. And
did she specifically call out, check it before she left? That was the main thing. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And the last few minutes are him negotiating with the pimp, him paying to get his money. He gets money to get his furniture back. He has them bring it. Him and his friends are putting it back in the house. Everything. They get the egg. They put the egg back, and he notices there's a little crack in the egg, or maybe he doesn't notice right away. And then his parents come in, literally as the truck is pulling away or whatever. Mm-hmm. And everything seems everything was fine. I think his father might notice the crack, I never noticed there was a little crack on the egg before. Something like that. But it's fine. It winds up being fine, Well, in the original script, which was penned by the director, Paul Brickman, Joel doesn't get the girl. He doesn't go to Princeton, and he breaks his mom's precious crystal egg.
Oh,
what a tragedy. Wow.
Yikes.
It ends with a bittersweet scene of Joel trying to comfort Lana about her future, which he knows will be very different than his own. But test audiences hated this. And they let
So
the
it got
studio
shot?
know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was it.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Wow.
This was headed to theaters until they tested it. And they let the studio know this is just terrible. And so the studio was at a point where they're like, either we don't ever show this movie to anybody, or we got to do something about the ending. And it was produced by David Geffen, who at the time, this was his first film launching his, Geffen Pictures, which you've seen that logo many times since.
Yeah.
Geffen wanted Joel to have it all. He wanted to win at the end. He wanted him to get into Princeton, have a future with Lana that was happily ambiguous, and leave his parents none the wiser about his adventures, save for the tiny crack in the egg. Well, finally, after this test audience, and after, Geffen was, much pressure from Geffen in the studio, Brickman relented to the point that he shot an alternate ending with the agreement that they test both versions again. And when they did that, it turns out that the ending with the more uplifting ending tested several points higher than the original ending, and that ending was shelved. Brickman felt the whole film was compromised by this, quote, cheesy happy ending, end quote, and considered leaving the film altogether.
It's weird. It's almost, for me, doesn't have anything to do with a happy ending versus a sad ending, but it's kind of a caper movie. It's kind of not a heist, but it's that thing like, well, can you pull it off? And I think you want to see in a caper movie them pull it off. Right? Yeah. Otherwise, why make a movie about it? There's nothing remarkable about you do crazy stuff and get caught and get in trouble. That's not a story. That's just life. You want to see somebody get away with this amazing thing that they did. And I'm not surprised that it didn't test well.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems to me like people, like you said, it's like a caper. Yeah. It sounds like the second ending, it buttons things up, right? Except for the crack, right? That's the last little suggestion that anything happened.
Yeah, like to John's point, it's escapism. We go along this journey. We don't want him to get caught. We're rooting for the guy the whole time.
Yes.
So yes, in some kind of films, yes, you do go the one way and we learn a lesson or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times you don't. Yes. And the 1980s were filled with, escape films. I mean, we all wanted to get the hell out of that decade in one regard. In another regard, we loved a lot of things about it. Okay.
I just realized this is reminding me of something we grew up on, The Cat in the Hat, right? So The Cat in the Hat came in.
Very similar.
Made a huge mess. And then, oh my gosh, it was stressful and it all
last
got
possible
wrapped
second.
up, and nobody knew. And he had all kinds of ways to clean it up. That's what was nagging me while you were telling me about that. Yeah, about the rush at the end.
Yeah, and this
plagiarism on behalf of Risky Business.
Yeah, they plagiarized The Cat in the Hat.
And this movie, The Cat in the Hat, was Joey Pants or Bronson Pinchot? I don't know. You'd have to watch it again.
Right. You know how the little kid in Cat in the Hat gets hooked up with a prostitute?
Yes,
right. It's a rainy day. What are you going to do?
Thing one and thing two, get involved and make it worse.
Those scenes with Rebecca De Mornay. Oh, my goodness. On the train?
I think those are rotoscoped. Amazing.
Oh my.
Cat in the Hat?
Yes.
Yes, right. Karen refers to it as Chekhov's Fabergé egg. Yeah, you're right, Karen. Something was going to happen. She also said she remembers when Alf did the slide. I kind of remember that too. It's in there somewhere.
Is that what Will looks like when he does the slide? Right?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Like Alf?
That's what reminded her, yeah. By the end of the production, the blood, there was so much bad blood between Geffen and Brickman that there was no premiere for Risky Business, not even a cast and crew screening. And Brickman wanted a copy of it with his original ending just for himself, and they wouldn't give it to him.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Don't let that thing out in the wild. Nope.
Yeah, there was apparently some pressure or talk about having it come out for like the 20th anniversary and then the 25th anniversary. And the studio said, nope, no one will ever see it.
Yeah.
And finally, speaking about Tom Cruise in the Tom Cruise 1980s Tom Cruise news segment.
Tom Cruise news.
In later episodes of the documentary that I referred to earlier, Icons Unearthed, Tom Cruise examines how he, evolved into a global action star. And look, while now, like Kat alluded to, a hallmark of his career is performing his own stunts, a gag in 1980's Top Gun nearly ended his career and his life. So it would have ended his life. That would have ended the career.
Both?
Right.
The life would have been first.
Coincidentally, career as well.
Yeah. But he survived, so the career was good. So I should have said life. Ended his life, yes. While the blockbuster Top Gun can be dismissed as homoerotic airplane porn, with a catchy electronic soundtrack, it did serve one serious purpose.
Wait. Homoerotic airplane porn.
Yeah.
That all checks out. Okay, carry on.
But it also highlights the risk taken by Navy fighter pilots, which is illustrated when the much beloved Mercutio character, Goose, played by pre-ER Anthony Edwards, dies during an aborted mission. gosh, that was one of those early characters that you really liked in a movie dying, and you're like, as a young person, like, oh, this is heart-wrenching. You're not used to seeing characters you like in Hollywood films die. Again, escapism.
Right.
Is this what movies are now?
Right. Does this mean that parents are going to fight about the egg? But while real-life fighter pilots face death daily, the filming of this particular scene showed how movie making carries hazards of its own. Not only was a veteran pilot killed shooting aerial footage for the scene, but it almost cost Cruise his life as well. So I don't have the name of the pilot. I should have that, but I don't. But so, he goes into this flat spin because he's, taking risks all the time and all this nonsense. So a veteran pilot shot what was intended to be the view of Maverick and Goose as they looked down at the water, spinning, swirling around. So he did a flat spin to film that.
Okay.
And he lost control of his jet and died. That veteran pilot. But as we know, the plane, the pilots end up in the water, and in the hotshot pilot Maverick, swims over to Goose. They both ejected right in there, and their parachutes bring the chairs down, and they land in the water. Maverick goes and cradles Goose's body, who's he died at some point during this terrible tragedy in the film, while waiting for rescue. But while they were shooting the scene, Cruise didn't know that his parachute began filling up with water. According to Barry Tubb, who played Wolfman in the film, quote, they were refilling the camera or something, and luckily one of the frogmen in the chopper saw his chute ballooning out. He jumped in and cut Cruise loose right before he sank. They would never have found him. He would have been at the bottom of the ocean.
Because it would have kept going down.
Yeah,
it would have kept pulling you straight down.
That water, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think it is in the documentary to describe how with the ropes you start getting just tangled up and wrapped in the ropes as it's pulling you down.
As you panic. The name of the
hopeless.
pilot is Art Scholl.
Oh, thanks, Kat. Yeah,
No problem.
Yeah, it's terrible, but
Yeah.
On that uplifting note,
yeah,
Let's see. We started with horror.
yeah, and there's a real horror, so everything's going to be spooky. Yeah,
That's yeah.
so in the next Top Gun sequel, we get to see that, but from the perspective of the parachute filling with water.
Oh no!
And you look up and you can see his feet dangling. He's holding Goose. Yeah. Just a whole different perspective.
So are you the parachute? Are we watching the parachute?
Yeah.
It was like, dang it.
Yeah.
I tried to claim that victory.
Almost got him.
Yeah.
That's right.
Almost got him.
So to Marcus's
Next
point,
time.
it'll be like 89 minutes of us just being underwater.
Right. Right.
So I guess we're the
Until
water.
there's Tom. Here's my chance.
It's the last few minutes of the film.
Start filling with water, quick.
Actually, most of the movie, we won't see anything because we'll be packed up in a pack, right?
We'll be
Parachute
packed up
will
in
be
the
packed up.
parachute.
Oh, we're the
We're very
parachute, right? Not the water. Right.
claustrophobic.
90%
just
of the
blackness,
movie,
just dark.
nothing.
Right. It's 80 minutes of that, and then blue sky, and then underwater. That's ridiculous.
You remind me, one of the good things about that in a violent nature film is there's no score. There's no music.
No? Oh, wow.
So it relies heavily on, the sound, etc. So yeah, in a parachute thing, it would just be, you can't even understand what the pilots are saying.
Right. You can faintly hear Danger Zone in the background. Like, that sounds like a good song.
Yeah.
Or for the need for speed. What'd he say? This is a great podcast.
And finally, yes, trust us. Once we get the rehearsal out of the way, for folks who stick around, you'll see the real show.
There are no other shows where you'll hear about Film Shop from the perspective of a bundled up parachute. There are no others. You only get it here.
Honey,
For good reason.
Honey, I know it's been 45 minutes, but hang on. The chute's about to open. Look, watch.
The good part's coming.
Okay, I was wrong. All right.
No, another 20 minutes. All right.
Finally, boom.
Free almond underwater crap.
All right, hey.
Oh, we'll get you, Tom Cruise.
A watery fist. Shaking.
We broke Cat.
Oh, we'll take
All
that.
right.
And we'll be right. We'll be right back right after this. All right, hey, this is not...
Cat's doing her own stunts over there.
We're done with the horror movies. We're done with Tom Cruise. We got a final story to chat about in 1980s news. As reported by the Rolling Stone, Jane's Addiction reunion tour has been canceled. So formed in 1985, the alternative rock band Jane's Addiction, I'm just going to continue on, consists of...
don't stop. Keep going.
I can't. We got to get out of here. Jane's Addiction consists of the singer Perry... I'm just going to press on.
Just go.
Oh, catch up.
Formed in 1985, the alternative rock band Jane's Addiction consists of singer Perry Farrell, guitarist Dave Navarro, drummer Stephen Perkins, and bassist Eric Avery. And after their first studio album, 1988's Nothing Shocking, which was deemed a flop, but after that, the band found success with their second studio album, 1990's Ritual de lo Habitual, or Ritual de lo Habitual.
Oh.
Which that album was certified double platinum and gave us the hit Been Caught Stealing. Bet you heard of that one, didn't you? Well, guess what? It was really exciting. They've broken up and come back together some different times over the last several decades, but they hadn't played together since 2010 and began their reunion tour on August 9th. Well, just 5 weeks later, the reunited band is not feeling so good because the band's concert on September 14th in Boston was halted when frontman Farrell assaulted guitarist Navarro. And I had hoped to show the video. I had seen a video that was like to the leading up to it. It was a couple minutes long, but now that this has become a big story, it's more clips and truncated versions of it that are filling up the search.
But it's a lot of chest bumping and posturing. It wasn't like a throwdown fist fight. It was certainly disrespectful and disruptive, but it isn't like you want fight. There's a fight. Well,
right. Yeah. Yes. And the lead up to it that you see in a longer video is, and we find out that this is related to the agitation that Farrell was going through. But you hear the band rocking along. The band sounds fantastic. We can hardly hear Perry, I'll say Perry singing, but he's talking and singing. And at some point he just starts looking at band members and saying, fuck you. And he looks at Eric, fuck you. And he looks at the drummer, fuck you. And he looks at Navarro and fuck you too.
Wow.
And he's just stomping around with the microphone. And finally he keeps staring at Dave Navarro and finally just goes over to him and kind of just rams his shoulder into him at first.
Yeah.
And Dave Navarro's like, he keeps playing the whole time. What the hell are you doing? He keeps playing. And Farrell keeps yelling at him. And then ultimately, he swings a right hook at Navarro. Connects with his shoulder. Right. It wasn't enough. Yeah. And immediately, crew members just descend upon.
And what is the number one rule of show business?
Go on with the show.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Yeah.
You don't interrupt the show if you've got a beef, you can handle it. Not in the show. Not in the show. You don't do it.
And also, he punched his shoulder?
I think he was swinging and hit his shoulder accidentally. I don't know.
Bad aim?
Have you ever got to look at Perry Farrell? He's not beating anybody up.
Oh, I've never.
Strong breeze will defeat him in a fight. I mean, the guy's got to be like 120, soaking wet. I mean,
oh boy.
He's been battling with addiction for decades, and he's still having.
Perhaps it was Jane's.
Perhaps.
Yes. Well, yeah. It actually may have started there because, the name of the band, they actually did name on his roommate he had back in the 1980s when they started the band. Anyway, so the crew descends upon Farrell and they drag him off stage. Navarro goes off stage, he goes to the side, takes his guitar off, and he's like, "Oh, where the fuck did he go? Where did he go now? Fight me, you skinny little prick."
Will's paraphrasing.
Yeah, something.
Possibly.
I guess the good news for folks attending that concert was they had gotten through 11 songs at the time, and they usually do around 14 or so. So the concert wasn't too far from ending. But after that was it. The show was over. Following the incident, Farrell's wife, Eddie Lau, released a statement on Instagram writing, quote, "Perry felt the stage volume had been extremely loud and his voice was being drowned out by the band." Which it kind of was. But it's not the band's fault.
That's not the band's fault. Exactly. Why are you mad at the band? Unless they set it up. Do they tell the audio guy, keep his mic really low?
Yeah. I know you're screwing with me again.
He's really paranoid.
He stomps off the stage back to the mixer. The guy.
You put this at Unity or I will end you.
Right. And she also adds, Perry had been suffering from tinnitus, as most people say, even though it's tinnitus, according to my doctor, and a sore throat every night. But when the audience in the first row started complaining up to Perry, cussing at him that the band was playing too loud and they couldn't hear him, Perry lost it.
So he lost it on his band because of a lousy.
Yeah. And we've seen other more professional, at least behaving singers during these times. I need more sound in my monitor. They say it like right loud stage. Can you guys turn me up? Can you, hey, they deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's got some stuff going on.
Oh, yes.
Perry Farrell.
Yes.
Look, I always know Perry Farrell for a long time. Then this guy Pharrell comes along who produces all these songs. And now when I see this name, it's Perry Farrell.
Right, Farrell.
Farrell's wife also revealed that while he was being restrained backstage, bassist Eric Avery, quote, put Perry in a headlock and punched him in the stomach 3 times.
Good.
Oh my.
So, and then
you wrecked the show, dude.
And then, according to her, Avery then turned around and was really kind of casual and got on the audience and was like, I'm sorry that the show had to end early, everybody.
Yeah.
Knucklehead.
Look, but it turns out, it seems based on some comments from Farrell and a statement from the band that's since come out, he's been dealing with stuff for a while, and they've all felt unsafe and, sort of tortured by this guy because of his nonsense for a while. So you could see why Eric would want to take some shots at him. Navarro was like, oh, good, you started it.
And when you're in a band like that, that's like a marriage.
Yeah.
And so you're going to bend over backward to try to accommodate someone that's having problems. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it's just the wave breaks, and then you got to face it and deal with it, which is unfortunately what happened in the live show rather than behind stage.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're having problems in a marriage, you do have to bend over backwards. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
To fix it.
Speaking of sock lube.
Yeah. No, you don't need sock lube anymore. That's when you're in the 80s. All right. Anyway.
Don't hurt.
No.
Farrell has now issued an apology to Navarro fans and family for the altercation, writing, quote, unfortunately, my breaking point resulted in inexcusable behavior, and I take full accountability for how I chose to handle the situation. I should say Farrell's publicist came out with an apology.
Yeah, it's a little late for that, but okay, nice try.
I'd have been pissed if I were in the audience. I'm not a fan of, I even struggled to think of one of their songs. This is not about Jane's addiction, but if I were at a concert and I, wanted a full show, I'd have been pissed.
Oh, hell, that audience got the good ending.
Yeah.
All the other shows were just, music, encore. They got to see a fight. That's great.
Fight. Yeah, I would think of Jane's addiction. The audience would be like, yes, fight.
Good point.
Speaking of apology coming too late, it came a couple of hours after Jane's addiction announced the cancellation of the rest of the tour.
Oh.
The band's official note was accompanied by a separate statement from Navarro, drummer Stephen Perkins, and bassist Eric Avery, who said the tour was canceled due to a, quote, continuing pattern of behavior and the mental health difficulties of our singer Perry Farrell. We hope that he will find... We hope. I feel like you're just saying the opposite just to get me confused. We hope that he will find the help he needs. The incident sparked more than a few reactions from various folks around the internet, including famous band members known for feuds of their own. Liam Gallagher, the lead singer of Oasis, who's known for a long-running feud with his brother Noel, and I think they've come to fisticuffs even before.
Oh no!
In fact, they're just launching a reunion tour, right? They just announced they're getting back together. Anyway, even Liam reacted to the onstage incident, posting on Twitter, quote, their attitude stinks.
I didn't hear Sammy and Dave chime in, though.
Right. Well, speaking of that, John.
Because they keep it off stage, don't they? They keep it off the stage.
Sort
Mostly,
of, I guess.
for the most part.
That's true. You're right, because speaking of behaving professionally, I've got 3 bands for you that are associated with the 1980s or otherwise connected with the 1980s that also had disappointingly short reunions, including Van Halen and Sammy Hagar. So, believe it or not, it was the tension surrounding the Twister soundtrack that caused Sammy Hagar to leave Van Halen in 1995. And when I say leave Van Halen, he may not have left so much as he was told he left.
He was voluntold to leave.
Yes. You have left.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, according to Hagar. The group had just finished a long world tour, and Hagar was very exhausted and angry when they worked on a song for Twister. They couldn't agree on the lyrics, and bitterness grew and grew. In 2022, Hagar told Rolling Stone that Eddie didn't fire Hagar. Instead, he told the Red Rocker that Hagar had quit the band.
Okay.
Eddie phoned Sammy on Father's Day 1995 and said, you know, you always wanted to be a solo artist, so go ahead and be one.
Here you go.
Go.
We're going to get Dave back in the band, end quote.
Oh.
Let's do the Twister like we did last summer.
Well, if you've talked about this before, not too long ago, but that rumored reunion with Dave ended abruptly with talking about keeping it professional, but it ended with his crazy antics on screen during the 1996 MTV Video Music Awards.
Right.
Acting up. Yeah.
Yes.
And I say rumored because it's by all accounts, it seems like it was a publicity stunt on behalf of Van Halen or their people, because they were already talking to Gary Cherone about becoming their new lead singer. But when their lone album with Cherone was a disappointment, commercially speaking, they invited Hagar back to tour with them in 2004.
Huh.
Now that's the reunion we're talking about, because in just 5 months later, the band managed somehow to play 80 shows between June and November of that year. But the Van Halen brothers rarely spoke with Hagar and bassist Michael Anthony.
Getting the old cold shoulder from the bandmates. That's not the kind of band marriage you want.
No, that seems like a very
Unsustainable.
unpleasant experience.
But to your earlier point, John, it wasn't on stage. On stage, you heard this amazing band that was cohesive and working together. Off stage, they just ignored each other, and not, Sammy.
Professionals. Yeah. Not like Pharrell.
Yes. And when the tour finally wrapped, they went their separate ways and never spoke in person again. It was only at the end of Eddie's life that he did reestablish contact with Hagar via a series of telephone calls where they finally patched things up.
Too little, too late, but I get the sentiment.
Yeah. Here's another one for you. Jefferson Airplane. Now, I didn't know this. All I recall from the 1980s was, now look, I knew who Jefferson Airplane was because they had some songs that were hits in earlier decades, and I was a fan. It's only in the 1980s that we got Jefferson Starship, and then ultimately we got Starship, and I was like,
Starship.
My understanding was
we built this city.
The folks from the band just kept sort of reinventing themselves as time went on, and their music changed as well. That's not what happened.
Really? That was my assumption too.
Yeah, and how they, it's kind of a more complicated story, but to cut to the end, Starship, featuring Grace Slick on lead vocals, scored giant 80s, according to the Rolling Stones, they say, quote, craptacular songs. Like We Built the City and Sarah.
Oh, I have that 45 of Sarah.
Yeah. They had never been more popular as a commercial force, but Slick hated the music, and so she quit in 1988, leaving Starship without a single member from Jefferson Airplane's classic era.
Wow.
So it was in fact that the band was dwindling down and changing people, and that's why the names were changing, except for Slick, who was still there, and then finally she left. And when she quit, she quit so she could get back to her roots with Jefferson Airplane, which then Jefferson Airplane cut an album in 1989, self-titled, which received uniformly negative reviews.
Oops.
But the band still hit the oldies circuit. The set didn't, again, this is now the Jefferson Airplane, the set that they would perform on tour didn't include any Starship numbers. So if you showed up to hear We Built This City, you were shit out of luck.
Nope.
No. This band didn't build Jack. The other band.
They didn't even build a village.
No. And this one, so this reunion, of Starship or of Airplane, I suppose, lasted 2 months because after Slick completed her obligations to the reunion tour, she reassessed her life. The thought of singing White Rabbit and Somebody to Love over and over as she grew older didn't appeal to her.
What does she like? She doesn't like the new stuff. She doesn't like the old stuff.
In fact, she once told VH1's Behind the Music that, quote, all rock and rollers over the age of 50 look stupid and should retire, end quote.
Yeah. Take that, Duran Duran.
Right in the reflex.
Yeah.
And while there are
reflux? Reflux.
Yes. Oh gosh,
like
they could definitely do a crossover, right? Use that song for some medicine, geriatric
Right, some
medicine.
antacid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget about tums.
Yeah.
Reflux.
Yes. And while there are competing groups billing themselves as Starship and Jefferson Starship, there's no Jefferson Airplane because that name ended when Slick left the group in 1989.
Yeah.
She didn't like the songs anyhow.
Isn't like anything.
Before I get too far here, Karen says the video for Ben caught stealing is hilarious. Yeah, sure. It seems like Perry was acting a lot like old school Axl Rose. Brandon says, "Yep, right."
Yeah.
Oh, and Starship did the mannequin theme. Yeah. What is that one? That's
Nothing's gonna stop us now.
There you go. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And finally,
that's like when you talk to your digital assistant. Okay, what's this song? Da 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 da, and it can do it. You can sing it, and it's crazy.
Is crazy.
We just were your digital assistants. This
we
time.
were, yes.
Oh, thank you guys. See, I don't need AI. I hate AI, but I like you guys.
Meet more.
Finally, here's another band from the 1980s that had a brief reunion. Journey.
Oh.
They split up in 1987 because lead singer Steve Perry wanted to take an indefinite break from the music industry. Perry told the Rolling Stone in 2018, quote, "I bought a Harley Davidson and rode it around the country roads of my youth. I went to movies. I had dinner with friends," end quote.
Aww.
But Perry got...
Because I was filthy rich.
Yes. Actually, that is part of it. I don't know if the motivations for the rest of the band were to get back together, as maybe often the case, because I could use another boat or I need to pay a mortgage, because not everybody saves their money. But Perry did. In fact, he pointed that out as well, saying that he saved his money. So there was no reason for him to continue, from a financial standpoint. But in 1996, he got the itch to return. And the Escape era lineup reformed to cut Trial by Fire. And it generated the hit When You Love a Woman, which was nominated for a Grammy. So Journey's new manager put together he was certainly busy putting together a massive reunion tour just 2 years after he masterminded the Hell Freezes Over tour for the Eagles. But just about a year later, the band dissolved again without having played a single show together.
Ooh.
So did they really get back together then?
Well, they cut the record.
They made a record.
Okay.
Yeah, that had a hit song. The holdup was a degenerative bone condition that Perry had that required hip surgery. And while you could feel bad about that for him, certainly we have wished him well. I'm sure he's fine now. He didn't want to schedule the surgery, kept putting it off. And the band was trying to, saying, hey, trying to commit him to something so they could plan the performances. And he said he felt like this isn't something, planning a surgery or an operation is not something done by committee. So back off.
Oh.
Well, to motivate Perry, the band told him they were auditioning new singers.
Oh.
Ouch. That stings.
And despite Perry's pleas, the band carried on with replacement vocalist Steve Augieri, or as I call him, Steve Augieri.
Nice.
and later his replacement, Arnel Pineda. Perry never sang with Journey again.
Wow.
And I've heard stories that he's kind of an asshole.
Really?
Allegedly.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, there you go. You got your horror. You got your Tom Cruise. You got your...
Shudder.
He got scared by Tom Cruise, not the horror.
Yes, I'm scared of Tom Cruise. We established that earlier.
Talked about some bands that broke up. And so altogether, that's the show.
Don't forget the parachute. Do not forget the parachute.
Yeah, right. We're pitching a movie, a new film.
I shouldn't talk about the parachute because I'm going to lose it again. I'll just let you know that this show was brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters, Rick Parker and Karen Flieger.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon supporters, Nick Guillory, Matt Marino, Gian Henderson, who popped in here briefly, Brandon Greer, Steve McLeod, Marcus Taylor, and Tony Gray. Wow. I love this new little ding.
It's like, it's like a cash register. Is that what that is? Is that then all their donations coming in each month?
Yes, exactly right. And look, I probably should say this more often, but a very special thanks to Marcus for his contributions to the show as well, because he does send me news stories and did contribute his voice to that silly thing that I did at the beginning of the show. Acting was chef's kiss. And also special thanks to Tony Greed again, who flew us out to RetroCon. Can't thank that guy enough.
Thank you, Tony.
And what a guy.
We need to welcome a new supporter to the show. Please say hello to Matthew Blocker. He's not here. Please welcome Matthew Blocker. Matthew.
The spotlight goes on the curtain. You're waiting for it to
that would
open.
be cool.
Come on in. Matthew, come on in.
Or if he didn't know, he's like, what the fuck? How are you doing this?
J'accuse.
I want my money back. Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
Matthew, for Matthew. Maybe he prefers Matt. I did reach out to him to find out. Thank you so much for your contribution, for joining this fantastic crew. Seriously, you couldn't be a part of a better group of folks as far as, how much they contribute, not only monetarily, but every week joining us on these lives and otherwise sending us ideas and comments and suggestions and just emotional support. Seriously, I feel their good vibes. And thank you so much to everybody.
Thank you, Matthew.
All right. Hey, that's it, right? All right. Look, Halloween's coming. I'm looking forward to talking about more creepy stuff. Cat, be warned.
Yep.
Right?
I'm
when
warned.
we talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
I'll get you, Tom Cruise.